Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a my 2 cent Switch/gaming video for this week, for the week of May 12th and 18th. And we got 8 stories to cover this week, including one surprise announcement about Microsoft and Sony actually working together for the first time that just came up this week. Also, the announcement of a brand new micro SD card that is basically 1 terabyte though, which certainly would make Switch owners happy and all, but it does come at a price which is, well, the cost of it as well. Plus, we also have stories about the Switch overtaking the PS4 in Japan, however. So we got 8 stories to cover, and we'll start off with the first one. And this one has to do with Detective Pikachu and the movie that just came out in theaters. Now, when it comes to movies based off of video games, though, they don't tend to have, shall we say, the greatest history of them all. Most of them are pretty much, well, crap. Outside of maybe a few exceptions, though, I mean, there are some that have become like it's so bad it's good, the Super Mario Brothers movie, to some that are just like downright awful, to some that like I thought weren't as bad as I originally thought, though, the Assassin's Creed movie, but obviously didn't do well at the box office, mostly because one, it's a video game adaptation that doesn't sit well with everybody, and number two, the fact that it was released around when Rogue One came out, though. And so apparently the newest video game movie that come out, I believe last week, was Detective Pikachu, and it seems that it may have done well at the box office, though. So in an article from Screen Rant, link will be in the description. It's my phone. Let me turn on the silent. It's beeping. Apologize for that. Let me turn on the silence so it make it a little bit easier. All right. So anyway, in an article in Screen Rant, they are saying, quote, Detective Pikachu is still a box office success despite losing to Avengers. Detective Pikachu may not have been able to beat out Avengers Endgame for the top spot at the box office, but the film is still commercially successful since Endgame debuted at the end of April. Much has been written about the movie's unprecedented run, as it absolutely shatters records by posting figures that seem unfathomable. Right now, I understand it crossed the Avengers Endgame crossed the 2 billion mark, which is obviously that is impressive, though. And it's currently gunning for the Avatar all-time global mark of 2.7 billion. Everyone expected to do well, but few would have predicted this kind of performance. Endgame's momentum haul impacted the other movies in theaters. Case in point, Detective Pikachu. Back in March, the first live-action Pokemon film was projected to have a domestic opening weekend between 75 to 90 million, which would have been significantly higher than WB's holiday tentpole Aquaman. However, in actuality, Pikachu came in well below those estimates by earning a 54.3 million in its first 3 days. Normally, when a film underperforms like this, it's a disappointment, but Pikachu can still be considered a success. For starters, 54.3 million is a very respectable total, good enough for the 5th highest opening weekend of 2019 so far. Pikachu is currently sandwiched between How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World, 55 million, and Shazam's 53.5 million. Both of those films turned a healthy profit for their studios. There's no denying Pikachu's debut likely would have been a little higher if it wasn't playing in the shadow of Endgame, which I won't disagree with that. But audience were still interested in seeing it on the big screen, with the next 4th quadrant tentpole not opening until next week. Aladdin, we'll see how that one does. There's a good chance Pikachu would have decent legs before it stacks up against more competitors, paddling its total in the early parts of its run. The real barometer, Barometer, apologize I'm not saying it correctly, to determine if a movie is a success is to compare its gross to its production budget. Detective Pikachu cost $150 million to make, which would set its break-even point around $300 million worldwide. After one weekend, the film is at 166.7 million, which clearly doesn't break many records, but it still puts it on the right path. It's already made back its costs, and it should be able to pass the 300 million mark soon. One key detail, however, is that it's opening in most markets around the globe, including the all-important China. There are still a handful of territories waiting to get the film, but none of them are a huge difference maker that takes Pikachu into the stratosphere. Still, every bit of money helps, and WB will take anything they can get. And with Pokemon's worldwide appeal, audience from all over the world are coming out to watch the film. With all that in mind, Detective Pikachu is going to go down as a modest success rather than a full-blown run. Summer competition isn't a joke, and with films like Godzilla, King of the Monsters, looking forward to that one, and Dark Phoenix will be vying for ticket sales in the future. Whatever Pikachu profits march in, it will be slim, and it certainly isn't a realistic threat to enter the 1 billion club. As WB plots a future for the Pokemon film franchise, they have to keep this in mind. It's tempting to greenlight a full slate of sequels and spin-offs, but that's an easier sell if Detective Pikachu was a big hit. So basically, it turns out the movie did well at the box office. It did certainly is on the right path if what is being said is true, but obviously it did not become the huge success that obviously WB would have liked this film to be. And you know what? To some degree, it was probably going to be a tough hill to climb, especially with Avengers Endgame. I mean, that was a big hill to climb. Do I think the film will probably do well? Yeah, I think it will do well at the box office, though. And there is a good chance they may do a sequel or anything like that. So, and to be fair, I haven't seen Detective Pikachu, so I can't really tell if the movie is actually good or not. But overall, it seems to be on the right track. And it seems to be doing, shall we say, better than, say, what the Sonic film is doing right now, which the backlash between that was huge, and they're trying to crunch to fix all the redesigns on that one, and I have a feeling there's a good chance that film is going to bomb big time. I think there is a very good chance, unless there's some sort of dramatic change, or unless it turns out to be actually good, or unless they decide to delay it from its November 8th release date, I have a feeling there's a good chance that film is going to bomb, though. So overall, Detective Pikachu certainly had a good opening. It certainly is doing well at the box office, but it's clear that it wasn't the high numbers that WB was hopeful. Hopefully, if it does well enough, it will convince maybe WB to do a Detective Pikachu.to, or whatever they're going to call it, down the road. I mean, obviously, the Pokemon brand, even though I'm not a Pokemon fan, is still very popular among everyone, though. So here's to hoping that they do a sequel to Detective Pikachu. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 2, and this one has to be Netflix may be entering, or somewhat entering, into gaming itself. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at Netflix, and apparently it could be entering into gaming, to be exact. Now, I have a subscription to Netflix. I also have a subscription to Hulu and Amazon Prime as well, or Amazon Instant Videos. And Netflix, lately for me, I've been watching a lot of Netflix, mostly because of some of the animes that they have in there. I've been catching up with shows like Sword Art Online. I've been watching the Fate Excella Link series, if I'm saying the name correctly. And of course, one of my favorite series on Netflix right now is Castlevania Season 1 and Season 2. It is worth checking out. I recommend that show, though. And so forth. But lately, we've been seeing Netflix has recently enter into the gaming space as well. During one of Nintendo's directs, it was shown that Stranger Things, based on the show that created by Netflix, though, and that so supposedly based off of season 3, is going to be making its way to consoles. And also, consoles and PCs as well. But it looks like Netflix may have more to do in terms of gaming, to be exact. In an article on GameSpot, links will be in the description of this video. Let me get it up. It says, quote, Netflix teasing E3 2019 gaming announcement, though. Netflix appears to have some games announcements in store, teasing appearances at E3 2019 next month. The studio will have a panel at the E3 Coliseum and has dropped some intriguing hints about what it has up its sleeve. A tweet announced the Coliseum panel says that it will cover news about its plans in the gaming space and an attachment image naming the panel Bring Your Favorite Shows to Life, Develop a Netflix Original into Video Games. Similarly, a tweet thread from Netflix Sci-Fi and Fantasy Twitter account mentioned that previously announced Strange Things game adaptation paired with the upcoming Season 3, but also says there's definitely more to come. Now in its second year, E3 Coliseum is the main stage presentation that has taken place at the LA Live, adjusted to the LA Convention Center, hosted by Geoff Keighley. Apologize, I'm not saying his name correctly though. It's part of ESA and E3 initiatives to make E3 a more public-facing event. Netflix has approached gaming in two distinct ways. The first put out is a narrative-driven experience on its video streaming service, marked with an icon to note that allows you to steer the direction of the story, like Minecraft Story Mode and Black Mirror Bandersnatch, Bandrsnatch. The other involves console and mobile releases of games based on Netflix properties like Stranger Things games. The panel title certainly seemed to imply the latter, but then that raised the question of which properties are ripe for game adaptation. The NX brand tends to promote anime series like She-Ra and the Princess of Power, Voltron Legendary Defender, and the Dragon Prince, along with live-action series like Umbrella Academy and Altered Carbon. So it's kind of interesting to see Netflix sort of bring some of their shows over to gaming, to be exact. And I am very curious to see what other shows that they will bring over from their series on and adapt it into video games. While some shows I don't expect will be moved into a video game adaptation, like for example, Castlevania, obviously, it's owned by Konami and all that stuff, and I know everyone has an issue with Konami, to the fact that, Daredevil probably won't because it's owned by Marvel, although I understand why some people are kind of pissed that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Defenders were canceled and all that stuff. But to see some of their other shows like Stranger Things be turned into a video game, it's kind of interesting, and it does open the door to what other adaptations or what shows by Netflix could make it over. Could some of the animes that are funded by Netflix or promoted by Netflix, could those make their way over? Could we see something like, say, Bright, a movie that was supposedly panned by critics but liked by a lot of people? I mean, I've heard one suggestion about possibly turning it into a GTA style kind of approach. And it will be interesting to see if Hulu or Amazon Instant Video decide to throw their hat in as well and bring some of their original shows created specifically for their platform to be adapted into video games and so forth. So I'm very curious to see what Netflix is going to do about some of their shows and see what kind of video game adaptation is going to come out of it. Will it be like what we saw with what they're basically saying with Minecraft Story Mode, or will we be seeing something like what they're doing with Stranger Things? So I'm very, very curious. So overall, it's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Netflix has in store for their IPs and what they're going to bring over in terms of video games. I'm also curious to see what systems these things will be available on. Being a Nintendo fan as I am, I would like to see them come to the Nintendo Switch, but we may also see them on other platforms as well, PS4, Xbox One, and of course PC as well. And it will also, like I said, be really interesting to see if Hulu or Amazon Instant Video follows in Netflix's footstep and they bring some of their original shows that they produce and turn them into sort of a video game adaptation. So overall, it's very interesting, but we'll have to wait and see what Netflix is going to show at this year's E3. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with the information that came out regarding Super Mario Maker 2, specifically, especially from the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct that Nintendo recently put out. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My True Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at Super Mario Maker 2. Now, I remember playing the first Super Mario Maker when it was announced for the Wii U, and it was sort of an interesting idea. Basically, you could like create your own levels using these styles of games from the original Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Brothers Super Mario World, and New Super Mario Brothers U. It was actually a fun game and all that stuff, and many consider it kind of like a spiritual successor to Mario Paint and so forth. Sadly, it was released around the time when the Wii U was pretty much on its way out and was considered basically a failure and all that stuff. And it was one of the few games that actually utilized the Wii U gamepad, though. Well, fast forward to right now, and with the Nintendo Switch becoming a huge success for Nintendo at this point, we now get a direct sequel to it, much like we got with like Splatoon, with Splatoon 2, is Super Mario Maker 2. And apparently Nintendo threw out a whole lot of information in this direct. I would go as far as say they threw out everything but the kitchen sink. And an article from My Nintendo News sort of breaks down what everything is in everything in the game that Nintendo announced. If you're interested in the trailer, or you're interested in this Mario Maker 2 Direct, though, a link will be in the description along with the article, though. So from My Nintendo News, it breaks down what's in the new Super Mario Maker 2. Here are some of the stuff they pointed out. Slopes, where you could create angle surface by just picking a direction and setting the length. Gentler slopes are an additional option. Angry Sun. Remember the Angry Sun that attacked Mario in Super Mario Bros. 3 game? Who couldn't forget that one? It's back and ready to put pressures on players in this new game. On and off switch. Hitting an on off switch allows all the red and blue blocks in the course and will swap. Setting it up wisely will help players create tricky puzzles and obstacles. Water levels. The water levels in Super Mario Maker 2 can be adjusted in the forest theme, so only half the course can be underwater if that's what player wants. Water can even be set to rise and fall at a different speed over time. It's also been reported that supposedly you could do this with lava as well. You could rise it like up and down. Bonsai Bill, the red variation of these classic Super Mario enemies have a homing functionality and chase poor Mario wherever he goes, so interesting. Co-op making, pass the Joy-Con controller to a friend to create a course together side by side. We now know that there's a story mode in the game where basically it's offline, which that's good. Mario sets out to help rebuild Princess Peach's castle. To fund this reconstruction project, he needs to collect coins, which could be earned by accepting jobs from the bulletin board and competing the associated course. Story mode is a great way for makers to get inspired, with more than 100 originally Nintendo crafted course to play. New course themes. In addition to all the course themes from the original games, players will be able to create and play courses using the desert, snow, forest, and sky theme. These themes feature new music by veteran Super Mario series composer Koji Kondo. Again, apologize, I'm not saying the name correctly. The new Moon course part can be used to unlock night versions of the theme, depending on the theme's use. While things will happen at night, including floating Goombas, diminishing lights in the ghost house, and sandstorms in the desert. Some items might even transform into the nighttime. They also have the Super Mario 3D Worlds, where you can use assets from the 3D world into this game. It's worth pointing out that the 3D world stuff is only done in a 2D Mario game. You can't create an actual 3D world in the Super Mario 3D world, though. But you can use stuff like Cat Mario, Clear Pipes, Koopa Troopa Cars, Track Blocks, Piranha Creepers. There's also Course World, an online hub where players can play and share courses as well as play together. Course World is available for players around the world who have a membership to Nintendo Switch Online. Players can browse by popular courses, new courses, or even search for specific tags like puzzle solving or auto-scrolling. That's a new feature as well. You can even create an auto-scrolling level using a set of fillers. Once a course is downloaded, it can be played anytime, including offline. Players can also personalize their Mii character's appearance using items like shirts and hats that are unlocked after completing various objects. In Endless Challenge, players will try to complete as many course world courses as possible on the difficulty of their choice before getting a game over. Really impressive scores in this mode might even get players on the leaderboard. There's the Play Together mode, where up to 4 players can be played with Mario, Luigi, Toad, or Toadette. There's Multiplayer Verse, where 4 players face off in a side-scrolling showdown in this online multiplayer mode. Each player will be assigned a different character, then race to each other in a random selecting course. The player who clears the course first wins and increases their verse ratings. Multiplayer co-op. In this online mode, up to 4 players must work together to beat the course. If one player finishes, everyone wins. Nearby play, where if up to 4 players each own a Nintendo Switch system and the Super Mario Maker 2 game, one can set up a virtual room that the others in the same location can join to play together on their own system. Only the player setting up the room needs a internet connection. It's also reported they also have a Super Mario Maker Nintendo Switch Online bundle launching in stores and digitally in Nintendo's eShop on June 28. In addition to the standalone game, this bundle includes the Super Mario Maker 2 and a 12-month individual membership to Nintendo's Switch Online at a suggested retail price of $69.99, $70, a $9.99, $10 to be exact. Savings off the suggested retail price when purchased each separately. Remember, a Nintendo Switch online membership is required to use the game's online feature. And they also mentioned the Switch game voucher, which I'm going to get to in a separate video on that one, though. And last but not least, though, there's the Super Mario Maker Invitation 2019. On June 8th, 4 members of the Super Mario Maker community will compete in a variety of wild and unpredicted Super Mario Maker courses designed by Nintendo's Treehouse team. The event will open up the festival at the theater at the Ace Hotel in Los Angeles starting at 11 a.m. Pacific Time and will be followed by the Splatoon 2 World Championship 2019 and the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate World Championship 3 vs 3 2019. If you want the information, you can look up Nintendo's E3.com, which, as a side note on that one, it's been reported that Nintendo is actually going to have a big booth this year. What they show there remains to be seen this time. So apparently they really put out a lot of information on this one. And I will say the one that stuck out for me the most is some of the new features they're adding in. The slopes is certainly nice. So now you can create your own slopes to slide down. Although I'm very curious to see how that's going to work, especially if you're using maybe the Super Mario Brothers graphic styles, because there weren't slopes in those games. So I'm very curious if that's going to be there or not. I'm leaning towards it probably isn't, but we'll have to wait and see. The Angry Sun, that certainly is nice to see that they're bringing the Angry Sun back. The water level, that's kind of interesting how they add the ability to add a water level to the game, not to mention be able to rise it up or rise it down. And like I said, I remember hearing that you could do that to lava as well. The story mode is definitely nice, and the fact that it can be played entirely offline is definitely a nice thing. Indeed, the new courses and the fact that they're using assets from Super Mario 3D World is definitely very, very interesting indeed. So there are certainly things I like about this, and I also like the fact that you can also supposedly download some of these levels and play them offline as well. So obviously there's still a lot of online functionality in this game, but there's certainly plenty of offline stuff, and I really appreciate that they are doing that with Super Mario Makers too. So hopefully maybe we'll hear more at E3 though, as long as that's not the main focus at E3. And I would like to hear other announcements at E3, but overall that's a lot of information they put out. It's definitely one of the games I'm looking forward to coming out on the Nintendo Switch. I believe it comes out in June, but I have to check the release date again. Let me just see if there's a release date for it though. Oh yeah, it's launching June 28th though, so about a month away. So overall, definitely like what I hear about Super Mario Makers 2. I'm looking forward to trying it out, and hopefully this time around, with the Switch being successful, this game will have maybe a little bit more longevity or have more legs than, say, what Super Mario Maker did when that game was released on the Wii U. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 4, and this one has to be that the Nintendo Switch has basically bypassed the PS4 in Japan, however. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 4 of our My Two Cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at the report that has come out that the Switch has passed the PS4, only in Japan, however. Now, since the PS4 has been out, since that system has been out 5 years ago, back in 2014 though, it really has dominated this generation. Whether you like Sony or not, whether you agree with some of the decisions Sony has made or not, there's no denying the PS4 has been a dominant force this generation of consoles. Some of that has to do with with clear marketing and learning some of the lessons they learned with the PS3. Others has to do with the fact that both Microsoft and Nintendo kind of shot themselves in the foot with their system. Microsoft did with the Xbox One earlier on, with a lot of the always online, all-in-one approach, which didn't really sit well with a lot of gamers. And of course Nintendo with the Wii U, in which it came off as that they were hoping lightning was going to strike twice again, considering how successful the Wii was, and obviously that didn't pan out though. Fast forward 5 years later, and it looks as though the situation may have kind of changed for a bit. While it doesn't dethrone the PS4 entirely, it's sold so far. It's globally, it's sold like maybe 100 units, I think, worldwide. Let me check that, double check that. Yeah, like 100 million units worldwide sold though. It seems as though the Switch has been very successful on Nintendo, and it seems to be its projection, or where it's heading though, it seems to be going up. And just recently, they just hit a milestone in Japan where the Switch has currently, right now, surpassed the PS4 as far as lifetime sales in Japan. From an article from Business Insiders, though, link will be in the description, you could check it out yourself though, it reads, quote, "After months at the top of the Japan sales charts for video game hardware, the Nintendo Switch has overtaken Sony's PS4 as the country's most popular gaming console. The Switch now has sold 8.12 million units in Japan, while the PS4 has sold 6.91 million units based on sales figures from Famitsu, a Japanese gaming magazine. Again, 6.91 isn't necessarily bad. It's certainly nowhere near the level as where the Xbox One is, which is, let's be honest, it's abysmal in Japan, to point that out though. Keep in mind that the PS4 has been available for 5 years in Japan, while the Switch is only 2 years old. The PlayStation 4, PS4, remains the most popular console worldwide, with nearly 100 million units sold, but gamers in Japan account for less than 10% of global sales. In comparison, Nintendo has sold 35 million Switch consoles worldwide, meaning roughly 20% of Switch sales come from Japan. Historically, gamers in Japan have been more enthusiastic about portable consoles than gamers in other countries, leading to a higher than average adoption rate for consoles like the Switch and even Sony's ill-fated portable PlayStation Vita. The Switch can also be docked with a TV and used as a home console, so players don't have to sacrifice a quality experience at home to game on the go. While the PS4 had a 3-year head start on the Switch, Nintendo's console is steadily catching up on a global scale too. According to an analysis named Daniel Hamad, apologize for saying it correctly, a senior analysis from Nico Partners constructed a chart comparing the sales growth of several video game consoles from their initial release data. The Switch is growing at a comparable rate to the PS4 set, and Ahmed said it will likely maintain that pace though. The chart shows that it's lining up with the PS4. So it says the Nintendo Switch he wrote on a Twitter account, though, the Nintendo Switch has been on the market for 25 months and is currently selling in line with the PS4. Based on the current forecast, it should maintain a similar trajectory to the PS4. While the quality of the two consoles can't be judged based on sales alone, it's interesting to see that gamers in Japan are much more eager to adopt Nintendo's hybrid consoles than Sony's more powerful PS4. So obviously, Nintendo must be pretty happy right now, given where the Switch is currently at this time. It's becoming very successful. It was a turnaround from the Wii U era, and to see it basically up to like not only 35 million worldwide, but to see it overtake the PS4 in Japan must make them kind of pretty happy that the system is doing even well in their home country. Now, I still think it doesn't sound like this is going to hurt the PS4 in any way. It still is the top dog at this time, though. We'll see how things change once the next generation of console. That means, the next Xbox and PS5. How much of what we'll see if Sony still remains the top dog or if the situation changes. But for now, the PS4 still is doing very well and all. But it looks like the Switch is currently catching up. Certainly is following the same trajectory. I apologize if I'm saying the name correctly. That the PS4 is, and that certainly must be very pleased for Nintendo, though. I think a lot of it's going to be maintaining some quality games for that system, and also getting strong third-party support as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of factors for Nintendo to maintain the Switch to maintain that trajectory, though. But it's good that it's doing very well in Japan. It's very interesting that it overtook the PS4 in Japan, to be exact, and it certainly is. The Switch certainly is in a good position, though. Now, it's going to be interesting to see where the Switch is going to be at once the PS5 and the next Microsoft's next Xbox is going to be. What position will that system will be? Will it still be in a good or a bad position? But for right now, at this moment, though, the Switch is doing very well. So overall, great Nintendo must be very pleased that it overtook the PS4 in Japan, though, and with 35 million units sold worldwide, it certainly is going down. It is certainly on the right path. Where it leads into the future, especially when the PS5 and the next Xbox comes out, though, it remains to be seen. But for right now, I'm sure Nintendo's pretty happy with what they're seeing right now with the results with the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 5. And this one has to do with something that Nintendo is offering that was announced during the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, which is referred to as the Switch Vouchers. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 5 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we are going to be taking a look at supposedly an offer that Nintendo is offering, which is called the Switch Vouchers, or Nintendo Switch Vouchers. Now, during the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct that happened, though, Nintendo announced basically these vouchers, which can be used for basically for any of the games that have been listed that Nintendo has shown off, and you can use these to sort of pay for or sort of cut some money off of like any of the digital purchases. Though, in an article from Destructoid, though, they're basically saying, quote, Nintendo has a slight roundabout new way to save money on Switch games. What are they? Nintendo Switch game vouchers. What do they do? Slice as much as $20 off a 2-game bill. Here's how it works. Nintendo Switch Online members can pay $100 for a pair of vouchers that can be exchanged on the Nintendo eShop for 2 eligible digital games. The example used was Super Mario Maker 2 as a $60 pre-purchase, and either Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Mario Odyssey, or Zelda Breath of the Wild. The idea is to select qualified games collectively worth more than $100. According to Nintendo's press release, though, by redeeming these vouchers, users are saving up to $19.99, $20, on the combined suggested retail price of 2 games. Vouchers are redeemable for 1 year from the date of purchase and don't have to be used at the same time. So you can hold on it for a year, and if there's a certain game you want to use it for, you can. The games they have currently listed right now, and these are mostly first-party games, are obviously Super Mario Maker 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Splatoon 2, Super Mario Odyssey, Bayonetta 2, Sushi Striker: The Way of Sushio, Kirby Star Ally, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Tennis 8, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, Super Mario Party, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Yoshi Crafted World, Fire Emblem Warriors, Pokemon Tournament DX, Octopath Traveler, Fitness Boxing, Go Vacation. They also have right now only about 2 third-party titles on this, and that's Dragon Quest Builder and the World Ends With You Final Remix. Though they also list games that are upcoming that could be eligible for the voucher program, such as Astro Change, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order. The article also points out that the selection of eligible software will continue to grow over time. The voucher announcements were tucked midway through the Super Mario Maker 2 direct presentation, and the person that's right is that, and my brain was too for all the bullet points prior to the comprehend. You can read the article on that part. I have time reading it. The only caveat is that you have to buy the vouchers before July 31st, 2019. So, for those who opt to take a digital approach, if you prefer to buy your games digitally on the Nintendo Switch, basic or over doing physical, though I still prefer physical, but some like to take the digital approach. Though this may not be a good idea. The fact that you can use these vouchers to save some money, though, on the list of games that they have here, even if some of these games interest you. And the fact that there are other games like Astro Change, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, and Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3: The Black Order are eligible for these games, although they do say eligible in the future. That certainly is nice that they're adding more of these first-party games, although it'll be interesting to see if third-party games make it on the list. The couple of downsides is that you have to buy the vouchers before July 31st, though. And of course, the big one is that you have to subscribe to Nintendo's online service in order to use it, let's just say it's not everyone is happy about Nintendo's online service. Not everyone is pleased with it. Some of the criticisms are valid. I won't disagree. Some of them I think are kind of a little bit over the top, but still, I mean, it's certainly nice that Nintendo's doing this. Whether you think this is a good deal or not, that's going to be up to your preference and your take, though. I'm slicing off $20, though. Not bad, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see for those who are going to use this or not. So overall, it's nice that Nintendo is offering this, though, but again, you have to be an online subscriber in order to even take advantage of this, and that that may not sit well with everybody though. So, but it is certainly nice that they're offering something like this. Whether you think this is a good deal or not, it's going to depend on your preference or your taste. Personally, I'm still taking the physical route. I really don't have any plans to use these vouchers or anything like that, but others might find this to be a good deal, to be exact. So, but overall, interesting that Nintendo's offering this, but whether you think this is a good deal or not, it's going to come down to whether you think it's worth the money or not, just like if you think it's worth subscribing to Nintendo's online service just to play games like Tetris 99 and so forth though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 6, and this one has to do with SanDisk announcing the 1 terabyte micro SD card, which coming at a price point that may not sit well with everybody though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 6 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the announcement SanDisk has announced of their new micro SD card, which is basically a 1 terabyte micro SD card though. Now, for anybody who has a Switch, or anyone who decides to buy games, whether they're digital or even the physical ones, even the ones where third parties have you like download the rest of the game, and which is utterly outrageous to be exact though. Obviously, a lot of those games are going to be taking up a lot of spaces on your Nintendo Switch. While some developers, even some like Nintendo, have found a way to sort of optimize and compress the game to make it run on the Switch, others have taken the approach of when you buy the game, you have to maybe like download the rest. This applies to physical versions of those games, to even digital versions that could take up really a whole lot of space. So when those who purchase the Switch know that you get a 32 gigabyte micro SD card in there, which isn't really enough space in that system, to be exact. Especially and even so, that's why a lot of them why some consumers have to buy some of the much bigger micro SD cards to put in for their Nintendo Switch. And we've seen some of the bigger ones have gone down in price over time. So it's kind of interesting to hear SanDisk announce and basically prepare for the release of a 1 terabyte micro SD card. In an article on Nintendo Life, link will be in the description of this video, it reads, quote, Nintendo is making quite a large push to encourage its consumers to download their flagship games on the Switch rather than buy physically on a game card, which is obviously has associated manufacturing costs, among other things. During the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct yesterday, Nintendo unveiled a rather tinted game voucher discount program, which will no doubt simultaneously growth in digital sales even more. Whether you agree with the game vouchers or not, that's going to come to your opinion. If anything like us, your puny micro SD card is struggling to keep up with the weight of all these retail downloads. Sure, Super Mario Maker may take up 2.8 gigabyte of your precious storage, not bad with all the content in it, but some third-party games such as NBA 2K19 can take up to 31.5 gigabytes of space, so Switch owners are turning to even larger micro SD cards to store all their games, so they don't have to keep deleting and re-downloading all the time, which I will say 31.5 gigabytes for an update to me is like outrageous. I mean, yes, some other companies have put out where you download the rest. I mean, yes, they're certainly smaller than the 31.5 gigabyte, but it's still outrageous nevertheless. SanDisk may well have come up with the ultimate solution for this problem, however. Their newly released 1 terabyte Extreme micro SD card offers a crazy amount of storage. SanDisk's Extreme lineup of micro SD card advertised 160 MB read and 90 mbps write speed, so it will be more than suitable for your Switch, like SanDisk's other cards in the extreme range. But of course, there is a catch. Currently, the 1 terabyte micro SD card will cost you about $449.99, in other words, $450 in the US, and 453.99 pounds in the UK. If you don't think you can get away with that on your birthday list, you might want to encourage your loved ones to buy you a 400 gigabyte or 512 micro SD cards, as these prices are now beginning to get a lot more enriching. They point out the best micro SD cards that Nintendo Life thinks. And as of this recording of this video, it's worth pointing out that the micro SD card, the 1 terabyte one, is currently unavailable at this time. Obviously, a lot of people have pre-ordered it though. And to point that out, the 500 gigabyte one currently sits at $200. That's the highest one at this moment though. Currently have one available for like I said, $200 and all. And given the fact that the Switch supports supposedly up to a 2 terabyte micro SD card though, certainly that 1 terabyte one is going to be a godsend for those who basically buy games digitally or have to deal with the annoyance of basically, buying a game and then having to download the rest though. It is, however, the price point is going to be the downside, and that might be an issue for some, especially the fact that they're charging $450 just to purchase one of those beauties, though. That said, though, it is possible over time, though, the price will probably go down with the 1 terabyte micro SD cards. Even when it reaches to the point of 2 terabytes, though, at some point the price will go down with it. And it is also possible that, say, when Black Friday comes around, there might be a good deal and might be a good reason to pick up a 1 terabyte micro SD card, depending on what that Black Friday deal is. It could be a good deal. It may not be a good deal. So there are some deals out there, and there might be one at some point down the road for a 1 terabyte micro SD card, especially maybe on a Black Friday. So overall, great that a 1 terabyte micro SD card is going to be available. Though the price point is going to be an issue for some people. Though the fact that it's costing $450 might turn some people off. So if you're not willing to spend that much money, then it's worth probably either getting the 512 megabyte though, which is now up to like $200. Or perhaps maybe waiting until the price goes down a little bit, or keep an eye out for any like good deals or something. Like if there's a deal when Black Friday runs around, see if they lower the price to a point where it's reasonable enough that you're willing to spend money on for a 1 terabyte micro SD card though. So good that there's 1 terabyte micro SD card though. Still waiting to see when they do a 2 terabyte micro SD card, especially since the Switch will support up to a 2 terabyte micro SD card though. But like I said, the price point being $450 might turn some people off currently at the moment, but I could see at some point where the price starts to go down for the 1 terabyte micro SD card. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get to part 7, and this one has to do with a comment made by Discord in regards to of voice chat on the Nintendo Switch. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 7. Forget that right there. Part 7 of our My 2 Cent video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be talking about Discord, or whether or not it will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, one of the criticisms that Nintendo Switch Online has, and although there are many criticisms, this is one of them, is the voice chat though. A lot of people don't really like the approach Nintendo has taken in terms of regard to voice chat, in which you use your phone to do voice chat and all that stuff. And they one of the games that earlier on that used it was Splatoon.to, especially with Splatnet. And, well, it didn't exactly sit well with a lot of people. There were criticisms about it, especially the fact that you have to have your phone on and so forth. And although that got an update where even if your phone is off, you could still use it though, the damage was pretty much done at this point though. And not everyone is thrilled with the idea of using the voice app though. Well, it seems as though Discord has come out and saying that they would be open to the idea, but of bringing their service to the Nintendo Switch for Switch owners to use. But they're saying that the decision is going to have to be up for Nintendo to decide. In an article on Nintendo Life, link will be in the description, it reads, quote, the maker of voice and tech chat app Discord were vocal with their enthusiasm for bringing the service to Nintendo Switch back in 2017. It seems that they're still keen to help out players who are perhaps less than happy with the Kyoto company's official solution to voice chat on the console. After the official Discord Twitter account posted an adorable Animal Crossing Mother's Day picture, a fan asked if we will see the app coming to the Switch. The person asked Discord for the Switch when, and their response based on Twitter is, quote, we would love to bring Discord to the Switch, but we need Nintendo's blessing for that to happen. Vote up the idea here, and maybe it could be a thing someday though. And they have it called Discord GD/contact though. So although the company is still enthusiastic, a green light from Nintendo would be needed, and that doesn't appear to be forthcoming. While it's nice to see that Discord are ready and willing to help integrate their solution, an app with which a great many people already solved their Switch voice chat woes into the console itself, it seems Nintendo is more than happy to continue using the Nintendo Switch Online app in supported games. Somebody there seems to think it ain't broken, so a fix seems unlikely. With Vouchers, another voice and tech chat specialist, have released an SDK for developers to use on Switch. Some games are cultivating Nintendo's Convoluted system with titles like Fortnite, Paladin, and Smite, all using the same tech to provide an in-game solution. So while it does seem as though basically Discord would love to bring their voice chat app to the Switch though, it seems unlikely to happen unless Nintendo says, yeah, go ahead though. And honestly, I really think they should though, because their idea of using a phone and all that stuff, it just seems more work than it should have been compared to say like how Sony and Microsoft have voice chat for their system, how they handle it, even how PC gamers have handled it though. So I really think it's kind of foolish that Nintendo is still telling people to use their in-game voice chat app, which it's not very popular. Not everyone likes that. And I really think Nintendo needs to open up and allow companies like Discord, who can offer a good voice chat option for those who want to use voice chat and all that stuff. So I really think Nintendo kind of needs to open up and allow Discord to help out with their voice chat and all that stuff, because that's one of the criticisms about Nintendo Switch is online subscription service though. Again, it's not the only criticism about it, but it certainly is one of many. So my overall take is that I really think Nintendo needs to allow companies like Discord to come in and help out in the voice chat area, or allow Discord as an option for Switch owners who want to use voice chat though. So I think it's utterly ridiculous that Nintendo is still holding on to the using their Switch Online app, using your phone and all that stuff. So I really think Nintendo needs to kind of change some of their policy. Either they need to allow Discord to come in and help out with their voice chat, or they need to overhaul the Nintendo Switch voice app, or they need to get rid of it altogether, because honestly I think what Nintendo's doing is just more work than compared to what Microsoft, Sony, or even what PC gamers are used to with their version of voice chat and so forth. So overall, I think Nintendo really needs to allow Discord to allow their voice chat service to come to the Nintendo Switch. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 8, and this one has to do with the announcement that Microsoft and Sony are working together somewhat in an interesting way. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our 8th and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with a story that just broke on Thursday, though, although this video I'm hoping to get put up on Saturday, and that has to do with Microsoft and Sony kind of teaming up, or having a partnership to a certain degree in a way, though. If there's one thing I will say about this generation, though, of consoles, we've seen some really strange partnerships, or certain certain strange things this generation of consoles. Excuse me. We saw, like, in the past, I think around 2016, though, Nintendo teaming up with Apple and releasing some of their IPs on mobile devices with games like Super Mario Run, Fire Emblem Heroes, I think Animal Crossing Camp. Again, I apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly. And also games like Pokemon Go, though, seeing their IPs really appear on another device outside of their own consoles. Although, to be fair, we've seen games like Mario games on PC, but those are more like the educational games, like Mario Teaching Type and so forth. I remember playing those when I was in like elementary school or something like that. To earlier this year, where we saw Microsoft allowing the developers of Cuphead to bring their game over to the Nintendo Switch after rumors that have been going around about it, including rumors that the possibility that Xbox Live could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. So we've been seeing some interesting partnerships and collaborations between certain companies and so forth. And now it seems as though Microsoft is also teaming up with Sony, collaborating on a partnership in regards to basically cloud streaming and so forth. From Microsoft's own website, there are several articles about this, but this is from Microsoft's News Center. It reads, quote, Sony Corporation and Microsoft Corporation announced on Thursday that the two companies will partner in on new innovations to enhance customers' experience in their direct-to-consumer entertainment platform and AI solutions. Under the agreement, if I have a hard time saying the name, of understanding signed by the parties, the two companies will explore joint development of future cloud solutions in Microsoft's Azure, Azure, to support their respective games and content streaming service. In addition, the two companies will explore the use of current Microsoft Azure data center-based solutions for Sony's game and content streaming service. By working together, the companies aim to deliver more enhanced entertainment experience for their worldwide customers. These effects will also include building better development platforms for the content creator community. As part of the sort of the deal of understanding, Sony and Microsoft will also explore collaborations in areas of semiconductors and AI. For semiconductors, this includes personal joint development of new intelligent imaging sensor solution by integrating Sony's cutting-edge image sensor with Microsoft's Azure AI technology in a hybrid manner across cloud and edge, as well as solution that leverages Sony's semiconductors and Microsoft's cloud technology. The companies aim to provide enhanced capabilities for enterprise customers in terms of AI. The partners will explore incorporation of Microsoft's advanced AI program and tools in Sony's consumer production to provide highly initiative and user-friendly AI experience, though. Sony is a creative entertainment company with a solid foundation of technology. We collaborated closely with multitudes of content creators that capture the imagination of people around the world, and through our cutting-edge technology, we will provide tools to bring their dreams and visions a reality, the president and CEO of Sony's PlayStation itself came about through the integration of creative and technology. Our mission is to seamlessly evolve the platform as one that continues to deliver the best and most immersive entertainment experience together with a cloud environment that ensures the best possible experience anytime, anywhere. For many years, Microsoft has been a key business partner for us. Throughout the course of the two companies have also been competing in some areas. I believe our joint development of future cloud solutions will contribute greatly to the advancement of interactive content. Additionally, I hope that in the area of semiconductors and AI leverage each company's cutting-edge technology in a mutual complementary complementary way will lead to the creation of new values for society. It says, quote, Sony has always been a leader in both entertainment and technology. As the collaboration we announced today builds on the history of innovation, the CEO of Microsoft says, our partnership brings the power of Azure, Azure, and Azure AI to Sony to deliver new gaming and entertainment experience for customers. Going forward, the two companies will share additional information when available. So obviously, this is kind of surprising to see Sony and Microsoft are working together on this. So they're looking for basically, it looks like they, based on this partnership right now, that it sounds like it's clear that they're working on a cloud-based solution, and it looks like they're trying to compete against, say, with Google coming up with the upcoming Google Strata, though. Now, does this mean that we could see something like, say, Halo making an appearance on the PS4 or Horizon Zero Dawn making an appearance on an Xbox? I would say for now the answer is most likely no. I don't think that we're going to see doesn't sound like we're going to see something like, say, what we saw with Cuphead making an appearance on the Nintendo Switch. I mean, it's possible it could that could change over time or something like that, but for right now it does sound like it basically means that they're working together, and it sounds more like they're working together to compete against, say, what Google's doing with, Google Strata, which is this cloud-based streaming service. Although we do know that Microsoft's really pushing their cloud-based streaming service. I think it's called Project X Cloud and so forth, though. And it would be interesting to see if this partnership, although I've heard it could lead to that, though, if it opens the door for Sony to be more open in terms of regarding cross-platform. Again, I understand it's their system and they can choose to do what they want to, but I think the cross-platform issue for Sony is really bad. I really think they need to change that policy. If a developer wants to make a game that's cross-platform, let them make it a game that is cross-platform. So what does this have to evolve with Nintendo in any way? Well, at least according to what Nintendo enthusiasts is saying, though, doesn't sound like this is going to have any impact with the relation between Microsoft and Nintendo. According to what Nintendo enthusiasts is saying, quote, they're saying, however, this is a historical team up, and only time will tell how greatly it impacts the video game market. Both companies are still planning to launch competing hardware for the next generation, but they will be working together on the side. So obviously Microsoft is still going to release their next system. They said that at last year's E3, and obviously Sony is working on, obviously we know, is the PlayStation 5, even though they're not calling it that. I think it's safe to assume it's going to be called the PlayStation 5. So what does this mean for Nintendo? There's no need to panic. Nintendo's already partnering with Xbox to bring games and services to the Switch. They're not being left out in the cold here. We've even heard reports that Microsoft plans to bring Game Pass and xCloud to the Switch. If that proves to be true, this could actually benefit Nintendo. Plus, Nintendo always stood apart with their unique content. Sure, Sony and Microsoft are competitors, but they're offering something totally different than the other two. So at least according to what Nintendo enthusiasts is saying, though, it doesn't sound like this is like Cuphead is going to be the only game coming to the only game that Microsoft brought to Switch, is that's going to be the only game. There's still I remember hearing Phil Spencer still saying that he would like to bring Gears, Halo, and Forza to, like the Switch and other platforms as well. So It is so it doesn't sound like this is going to impact that relationship though. It's probably they're having a different deal with Nintendo than they are with Sony and all. So it's really interesting this is happening though, and this does sound like, and I don't really like to play this card that at all though. I think it's a ridiculous one that this hopefully puts the rest the whole idea of the whole console wars and all that stuff. I think it's kind of ridiculous and all that. So my overall take is that I'm very curious to see how this partnership between Microsoft and Sony goes. It's going to be really interesting if they are teaming up for a cloud-based gaming, how much of an impact that will have on Google Strata, the upcoming cloud-based gaming service from Google. Whether it has a big impact or no impact remains to be seen. And at least according to what Nintendo Enthusiasts is saying, though, it doesn't sound like this is going to impact the relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo. Obviously, Microsoft views the Switch a little bit differently than they do with Sony, though. And of course, obviously, Sony and Microsoft are still going to release their own console and still compete against each other, but it does sound like they'll do something different on the side. How long this relationship will last remains to be seen, but it is very, very interesting to see this play out, that Microsoft and Sony are kind of working together. I'm more surprised how Microsoft is being a little bit more open to working with their competitors, from Sony to even working with Nintendo, allowing something like Cuphead come to the Nintendo Switch. So overall, this is very interesting, and it will be really interesting to see how this plays out going forward into the foreseeable future. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Detective Pikachu doing pretty okay, doing well at the box office? Do you think these are respectable numbers? Have how they did well at the box office? Were these numbers, were you expecting these kind of numbers? Do you think it could have been higher? Do you think Avengers Endgame may have prevented Detective Pikachu from reaching, higher box office numbers in any way? And do you think they'll do a sequel to Detective Pikachu at all? What are your thoughts about Netflix getting into gaming a little bit more? Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a bad idea? Do you want to see some of their other IPs or their other movies or shows turning into have a gaming adaptation, like something like Bright or any of the other shows out there that Netflix has produced? What are your thoughts about the Super Mario Maker 2? Are you happy with a lot of the stuff they showed off at the Direct? Are you looking forward to picking up Super Mario Maker 2 and all that stuff? Is this a game you're looking forward to at all to pick up? What are your thoughts about the Switch passing the PS4 in Japan? Do you think this is good for Nintendo? Do you think that the Switch is on a right path? And do you think it could maybe one day catch up to the PS4, which currently hits at 100 million units worldwide? What are your thoughts about the Switch voucher that Nintendo is offering, where you can use a voucher for 2 games of selected games that they have, though, for digital purchases, though? Do you think these vouchers are a good idea? Do you think these vouchers are a bad idea? Are you going to use these vouchers, or are you not going to use these vouchers at all? What do you think about the announcement of a 1 terabyte micro SD card, though? Are you happy that they finally announced this, and are you looking forward to picking one up when there's one available, though? Or do you think the price point might hurt some people to pick it up, being $450 here in the US? And do you think the price could go down at some point down the road? Possibly, maybe some sort of deal, possibly like on Black Friday? What are your thoughts about Discord still being open to bringing their service to the Nintendo Switch? Do you think Nintendo should allow Discord to help them out with their voice chat in any way? Or are you happy with what Nintendo has to offer in terms of voice chat? And finally, what are your thoughts about this partnership between Microsoft and Sony? Is this kind of a surprise for you and all that stuff? Do you think this can open the door to maybe other kind of things, partnerships? Could we see something like, say, Microsoft bringing their games over to the PlayStation? Or could we see Sony bringing their stuff over to Microsoft? Or do you think that's highly unlikely to happen? I personally think it's unlikely, but we'll see what happens over time. And I mean, are you surprised by this deal or this partnership that they're doing at all? Do you think this partnership's going to last? And do you think, what kind of impact do you think this will have on the PS5 and the next Xbox going forward? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think, and I hope you hit that like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that will be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!